What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the video here with the AFC East division breakdown um, with a very special guest.
Hi, my name is Ian. I am a local Dolphins fan. I'm also well versed in keeping tabs on the whole AFC, from the Bills to the Jets to the Patriots, from the moves as well as the roster cuts, especially from earlier today. And I'm here to help Aiden just get through his rankings and make sure he has everything correct.
Yes, sir. So we're going to get right into it. Looking at how the division performed last season, the Bills won the division with a record of 13-4. They were the 2 seed in the AFC, ended up losing in the AFC Championship game. Then the Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots all missed the playoffs. The Dolphins went 8-9 and were the 10th seed. The Jets went 5-12 and were the 11th seed. And the Patriots went 4-13. They were the 13th seed. Starting with the individual team analyses, starting with the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills are definitely still a championship contending team. I have them as the fourth ranked team in the league. I think they're definitely the best team in this division by far. And looking at the individual position group rankings, I think they're really strong across the board. Quarterback, I think Josh Allen is obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league. One of the top four, honestly, anywhere you want to put him in the top four, I think is acceptable. I have him ranked as 3. He's really able to put the team on his back and has just proven that he has what it takes to take this team deep into the playoffs, just needs to get it done and actually get to a Super Bowl. Running back, I think their running back room is very talented. I have it as the 10th best unit in the league. I'm a big fan of James Cook. Very happy he got paid this offseason. I think that is a more underrated aspect of this Bills offense. I think Josh Allen gets a lot of the hype, but I do think they are going to have a very strong run game once again with James Cook. The wide receiver core, I do have it ranked 20. There are pieces in the room that I like, but I think overall they're lacking that true wide receiver one. Khalil Shakir is a great option. I think he's solid. I think he's probably a good wide receiver 2 more than anything else. They're hoping to see more development from Keon Coleman, who's kind of had a slower start to his career, but I think there's a lot of potential there. Tight end, they have a good duo in Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Kincaid, I don't think, has performed at the level they have really wanted from him, but again, I think there's potential there, and it is a solid duo regardless. So, overall, some good weapons for Josh Allen. The offensive line, I think, is incredible. One of the best units in the league. Definitely a huge boost to the offense. And yeah, defensively, I think the front seven is definitely the strength of the defense. Again, I think it's one of the strongest units in the league at that position group. And it's just real nice for the Bills to have such a great offense and a strong front seven. The secondary, I do think, is weaker overall. I think the defense will be fine, but I think the secondary is where they're lacking most as a team, but overall very strong. So, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? What are your thoughts on the Bills?
Well, for quarterback, Josh Allen, one of the most dominant quarterbacks in the league. You can always put him as like a huge tier above, as well as Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Burrow. They're very interchangeable, especially with how each of them performed last season. I would honestly put all 3 of those above Mahomes at this point in their careers, especially from both Lamar and Josh Allen having MVP seasons and Burrow throwing as crazy amounts, and from his touchdowns to his yards. And from running backs, I think they have. I think it's a little bit higher than 10 because of how much depth they have on the running backs. From James Cook getting the more of elusive receiving back. He's much more heavy in the passing than what he is in the running game, and I feel like they can implode, like use a 1-2 punch with him and Frank Gore Jr., with Frank Gore Jr. being their like the breakout in the preseason and in practice, from him getting over like 200 yards in total and multiple touchdowns. I think they can do something that they do in Detroit with a 1-2 punch, with James getting the majority of the touches and passing yards. But then for yards that really matter or near the end zone, they can use Frank Gore Jr. as more of a power back to get those extra needed yards. Wide receiver, you kind of nailed on the head with Shakir. He's more of a wide receiver 2. out of anything. They really want Keon Coleman to break out, and I feel like he has to break out soon at this point in his career. I know it's early, but you take him in the end of the first round. You expect results. He didn't give him last year, so you're hoping that they can at least have him this year. Tight end, they're doing with an interchangeable thing with Knox and Kincaid. I really like Kincaid, but I feel like the thing that's holding him back is the 1-2 thing exactly, where they need to employ less of Knox and more Kincaid if they really want Kincaid to break out. As much as he's projected to break out every season, it's just not there until I feel like they get Knox, have less touches and less time on the field. Offensive line, defensive line, really strong. You have people like Dion Dawson, who's just dominant in whatever he does. Their problem is really lies in the secondary, and I feel like you kind of nailed on the head. And I I feel like they're more employing something that like the Bengals are employing, where it's more of trying to get more points offensively than you let off defensively. And I feel like that's going to be the huge problem this year. And it depends on how far they get, because as long as Josh Allen keeps on throwing, the team will be good. But when he starts throwing more picks, if he gets injured or anything, then you have a problem that the defense is going to get scored upon more than the offense will. And that could let them fall down in the rankings. But overall, I feel like as long as Josh Allen keeps on passing and keeps on getting this team to run through him, because he is the main cornerstone of this team, then I feel like that they can outscore the secondary's problems.
I think that some great points made. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how the running back room shakes up if they do employ more of a two-headed monster at running back, getting Frank Gore Jr. involved and maybe even Ray Davis in there. And then I think, yeah, getting Kincaid more opportunities is probably the best thing for him. Just let him have that chance to break out. I think he definitely has more potential than Dawson Knox, so the Bills just got to use it, and I think that could be very cool to see. All right, moving on to the Dolphins. This is your team. I have my rankings here, but I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Sure. Tua, I love Tua, but the offense just relies too heavily on him and his shoulders, especially with him being such an injury prone and having his issues as much as he does. I would honestly put him closer to 15, 14. I feel like there's some quarterbacks that are definitely stronger than he is, especially with his playing weaknesses from the code, playing against good defenses, and his O line, which is honestly one of top, not top five, bottom five in the league. Uh, but however, I do like the rookie that they picked up, Quinn Ewers. I feel like if Tua goes down, there's a good chance that Ewers can be that backup that is needed to still have the offense run through him, because the quarterback room as of right now is Tua, Zach Zach Wilson, and then Quinn Ewers in that order. However, from what I've heard from people around the league, is that Quinn Ewers has been outperforming Zach Wilson in many different ways, and also heard that if Zach Wilson was not getting paid $6 million a year, he would probably be cut from the team at this point. But because he's getting cut, because again the 6 million, they're going to keep him, and they're going to keep him as the number two. And I feel like they should give more of a competition between him and Ewers, because Ewers is very knows his offense very well, because he had a similar play style of this offense back in Texas, and I feel like there can be a good competition where he could become a solid backup and maybe even a good starter that can win at least 50-50 games. For running back, I really like the rookie that they picked up, Ollie Gordon Jr. He's very solid, very explosive, and especially with how Devon Achane has been injured in the weeks coming up to the season, and while they're saying that he might be okay for the upcoming season, to week one against the Colts, there is still the possibility, since it's a leg injury, that it could be a lingering leg injury, and I feel like Ollie Gordon can be a solid backup for that. especially with their backup now. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Jalen Wright.
Yep, Jalen Wright. Thank you.
Gotcha.
He Jalen Wright is injured, as well as like he's been struggling these past 2 years, especially now when he has competition. And I feel like now could be a great time for Ollie Golan to earn that second running back spot. Wide receivers, Miami has great depth on wide receivers from both obviously Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and then they both have the Washington duo with Taj and Malik Washington. Both have been shining through preseason and minicamp. Malik has an edge, obviously, because he's been there longer, and he's going to be the number 3 in the slot. However, I feel like they could be interchangeable at this point, and if one of them goes down, I feel like the other one can take the mantle and keep going, as well as like B. Eskridge has been doing amazing in camp from what I've heard, and because of that, I feel like they have great depth in their position. So I'd actually rank them a little higher, not in the top 10, but around, I'd say right outside, like 11 or 12th. I'd put them above a couple other teams. Tight end, you want to root for Dalen Waller. Just this one guy, fantasy merchant a few years back, had 1,000 yards. Just you used to love him having on your team. I used to hate him when you play against him, but it's been a few years. He's been injured, injury prone. Tried a rapping career, didn't work out. Wanted to come back in the league, and with the trading of John Smith, there leaves a huge gaping hole of who's going to fill that spot. Will it be Darren Waller, the guy who used to be an All Pro? Will it be Julian Hill, who's much more of a blocking tight end than of anything? Or is it Tanner Connor, who was a wide receiver turned tight end? And as of right now, it's gonna save Dan Waller. However, I feel like they could be interchangeable with on one plays they bring in Julian Hill, but pass plays they bring in Dan Waller, Tanner Connor. Offensive line, I feel like they are ranked just a little bit higher because of how many people they brought in. Aaron Brewer, the center, was amazing last year. Barely got injured, and I would honestly put him near the top 10 for centers in the league. He turned his career around in Miami from where he was in Tennessee, but I feel like he's been amazing, as well as the rookie Jonas Sabayanaya. He's been great coming into it. He is strong. He wants to protect Tua, and he knows his what he's supposed to do, as well as not Jaden, James Daniels. Excuse me. He he's very questionable. I want to root for him because he's amazing when he's healthy before he got injured, but it's an ACL injury, and you know how hard it is to come back from those. As well as the other pieces, Austin Jackson, who's currently injured, but he is going to come back for week 1. Front 7, I think the front 7 could be scarily good. I would definitely put them around top 10, honestly, with Chop Robinson, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and now the addition of Matt Judon, as well as some of the backups of Grayson Murphy, who's been amazing, and the linebackers Tyrell Dotson, as well as what's his name?
I got the depth chart pulled up. Jordan Brooks.
Jordan Brooks. Thank you. He is come from what I've heard. Jordan Brooks is coming out to be a captain of the team, and he's seen as the huge leader on the team, and he's been pushing everyone, doing push-ups at the end, doing group workouts with everyone, and I feel like they have a chance to be one of the most dominant linemen in the league. Secondary, I wish I could say the same thing. The secondary, it's very questionable. They have a very young team in the secondary, besides Minka Fitzpatrick, who is obviously going to be the leader of the secondary. But as well as this cornerbacks, Cam Smith, Storm Duck, and Jack Jones. it's just makes you have a huge question mark on whether or not they're going to be good or not. And you want to see people like the rookies shine out, like Dante Fowler Jr. at the safety, and John Marshall Jr., who has been rumored to be doing really good in the slot position. And because of that, I think they're going to keep him as a big slot man, and they're going to use Sheffield, and I'm pretty sure as of right now it's Storm Duck who is their uh, cornerbacks on the boundary. But I feel like Jack Jones can honestly win out at that point because he has more experience and he's much more physical than he is than the other guys. And Cam Smith, another guy you just want to root for, but he's just he was taken in the second round a few years back. He's been injured ever since. He's just made out of glass, honestly. I do like the idea that they had for safeties with obviously Minka Fitzpatrick, but with bringing in Ifantu Menifanu, if I'm saying his name correctly, uh, I think he's going to be much more dominant than he was previous years with the Lions. As long as I'm pretty sure he was injured last year, so as long as he stays healthy, I feel like those two safeties can be good, as well as the backup safety Davis, who they brought in from the Jets. But honestly, yeah, I would keep the secondary around the same. Same thing as a tight end. It's just you want to root for those guys, but it's young. Well, the secondary case, they're young and it's very questionable. And then for the tight end case, like the opposite, he's old and it's really questionable. And I would say that's about it for your rankings.
Yeah, I think great analysis. Honestly, my main concerns were definitely the offensive line and the secondary, and it's nice to hear that you have more confidence in the offensive line than I did. To be completely honest, I don't have the best knowledge of every team's offensive line, so I'll secede that. If it's better than 29, that's going to be great. And then I made these rankings a long time ago. Looking at it right now, the front seven I definitely think should be higher than 17th. It is a good unit. They did just recently bring in Matt Judon, Chop Robinson, Zach Sealer, Bradley Chubb, already established guys, Kenneth Grant, the rookie. I think it's definitely going to be a strength of this team. And then, yeah, the offense, it's got good weapons. If Tua can stay healthy, I definitely think there's potential there. And if the O line, as long as it isn't terrible, the offense should be able to be pretty good. That secondary is really just the main issue.
Yep.
Yeah. Moving on to the Jets. I have them ranked as 27th in the league. I think that they're probably the worst in the division. I think it's kind of close outside of the Bills, but I do think the Jets are probably at the bottom. Looking at the individual position group rankings, quarterback Justin Fields I have ranked at 29. I've liked Justin Fields. I wanted him to do well. He was pretty good with the Steelers last season as more of a game manager. But I think that the Steelers roster, specifically the defense, was able to carry him a little more than the Jets are going to be able to. I think the Jets are solid at points on the roster, but I don't know if they're going to be, supporting Justin Fields to very many wins. I don't know if he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I do think he's definitely near the bottom. I have him at rank 29. Maybe it's a little harsh, but he hasn't really shown much of otherwise at this point in his career. Moving on to running back, I really liked Brees Hall a couple years ago. I would have had him a lot higher, but it just seems like the team has lost a lot of confidence in him, which is not a great sign. Braylon Allen has been getting more usage, didn't utilize him a lot last season, so you have to wonder if that's an issue with the team, if that's an issue with him, if it's a bit of both. I do think he still is a young, talented back. I have him ranked at 13, and I do think Braylon Allen is great depth there as well, but definitely concerning the limited use that he's had there. The wide receiver core I have ranked at 26, which is very low. And that's not even a shot at Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson is great. It's just outside of him, they really have nothing there. Maybe Malachi Corley develops, but unlikely. They have Josh Reynolds and Alan Lazard, who are, solid veteran options, but it really just feels like it's Garrett Wilson and a bunch of other names. And when you already have questions surrounding your quarterback, not having a ton of offensive weapons is definitely not that great. Tight end, I'm optimistic about Mason Taylor, rookie tight end out of LSU. He is slated to start right now. Jeremy Ruckert and Stone Smart behind him. It's like okay depth. I am optimistic. We've seen rookie tight ends be pretty good recently. Shout out Brock Bowers. I don't know if Mason Taylor is going to be at that level, but hopefully he can add something to this offense. The offensive line I don't think is too bad actually. So that is good. I don't think it's going to hold the offense back. I don't know how much elevating it's going to do, but if they do decide to, be a run heavy offense, I think that'll definitely help. And then defensively, I think they're around middle of the pack. I think it's definitely worse than it has been in recent years. The front seven, I think, is just okay. You hope for more development out of Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, but it really hasn't been there. Quinton Williams is obviously great on the interior. And then at linebacker, Quincy Williams is definitely the best guy in that group. Jamie and Sherwood is okay, but aside from that, it's not the best. And then the secondary, it's good, but again, I think it's not as good as it has been. Losing DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner is definitely the best guy back there, and he is very good. Brandon Stevens across from him is not the best option. Michael Carter, the second in the slot, is solid, and then Tony Adams and Andre Cisco at safety is okay, but you can definitely do better than that. Overall, I think it's going to be about an average defense and maybe a slightly below average offense. So overall, not a ton of confidence in the Jets going into this season.
Yeah, the most disappointing team I'd say from last year. They had
Oh
so
yeah.
much hype going into them, but they just fell flat on their face from last year. Uh, the biggest question mark is going to be Justin Fields. See how he can, if he can have a bounce back year from his years in Chicago as well as his years at with the Steelers. He was decent with the Steelers, I would say. He was more of a good option than a full on starter, solid starter. But it's just you want to see him break out, and if he can break out, I feel like he can be really good because he has dual threat of his legs as well as his passing. It's just can he have enough time to learn how to be a good proficient passer and not just rely heavily on his legs. The running backs, I mean, it's you kind of nailed it on the head. I feel like Brees Hall, he's great, but he's just been injured as well as the times where he has played, he's just been just set back by a lot of things. You talked about Braylon Allen, who is getting more touches as it seems, especially through minicamp. Uh, their head coach, Aaron Glenn, he's been hyping up Brees Hall, so I'm hoping he will use him lightly. But there is still that worry that it's going to be more of Braylon Allen's show and Isaiah Davis than it will be Brees Hall's show. And it's definitely not going to be an every down back as what we thought he was going to be a couple years ago. The wide receivers, it's basically just Garrett Wilson's show. I mean, who else are you going to pass to? Josh Reynolds, Alan Lazard, Malachi Corley. Those guys, I mean, they're old and they are from the what's it called? What are you saying? Oh, I thought I heard you talk there. That's okay.
Oh no.
Uh, oh, okay. Uh, but I mean, it's just questionable at best, honestly. Outside Garrett Wilson, you don't have much of a wide receiver core. I mean, Alan Lazard maybe, but it depends on the game for him. Mason Taylor, I love Mason Taylor. It could be just bias from me loving Jason Taylor, but yeah, I want to say he was like a third overall tight end coming out of college in this draft, besides Warren and Loveland. And correct me if I'm wrong, by the way,
That sounds about
but
right.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure he is
technically.
number three.
I think so.
And he was dominant, especially his senior year. And you're just hoping that he can reflect that again and bring it to a new team, a new young team with a young quarterback with Justin Fields. You're hoping he could be that stone pillar in his for Justin Fields. Offensive line, honestly, pretty okay. I mean, I don't mind uh, Simpson, Vale Tucker, and Membu. I think Membu is really good, honestly, and I feel like he is honestly, if I'm correct, the best player on the offensive line. And even though he's very young, I feel like because he's very young and he's very good, you can have people build around him for an offensive line, and he can be that solidness in there. The defense, pretty straightforward. They have good players. Wouldn't say a good defense overall, but they have good players. They have Quinton Williams, Quincy Williams, Sauce Gardner. Uh, I mean, outside of that, I don't mind Phillips. Honestly, Harrison Phillips. I think he is decent enough. I feel like that describes this whole team actually. Decent enough. I think they're decent in the places where they're best at, but they're not great enough to be anything besides like fourth in the division. Uh, off front seven, 18. Yeah, I agree with that. Secondary, uh, yeah, 14 seems fair, especially with Gardner. And then, I mean, Brandon Season's all right. He's still a good solid option, but he's just all right. I wouldn't like go rave about him, but he's still a good solid option. Uh, I actually kind of like Andre Cisco. I don't know why. He's just one of my favorite players on that team. Uh, and I think he is a pretty solid option. I mean, you could definitely have better options. You could always have better options, but I feel like he's a good solid option, especially for that secondary. So overall, I agree with your. Uh, I agree with the majority of them. Uh, I would say running back maybe a little less because you don't know. I don't think even a team knows what's going on with their running backs at this point in the season. And Justin Fields, it's going to be a make or break with him. If he's good, then the team can have some successful areas. If he's going to wait in the pocket, like have you seen him in preseason, and get sacked immediately, he's just not going to be able to survive on that team. And I feel like in that case, because his team is a huge question mark, I would say that they're fourth in division, and I think they're not going to have much of a backbound season that much people think of them already.
Yeah, I mean, definitely feels like a make or break season for Justin Fields, and a lot of question marks in that running back room. And the last team in the division that we will be talking about is the New England Patriots. I think they're in a similar range to the Dolphins and the Jets. I have them as ranked 24th in the league, which is third in the division. Um, I do, however, think that, which we'll get into in a little bit later, they have a little bit more potential to exceed that rank than the previous two teams, just based off of the potential of a lot of the guys on their roster. Looking at the individual position groups, quarterback Drake May, I have it ranked 20 right now. I do expect him to outperform this rank with further development this season. Had a promising rookie year, kind of overshadowed by Jaden Daniels being like one of the best rookie quarterbacks of all time, but I think Drake May was still pretty solid, and I think that he can continue to build on that. So I do think that this time next year we'll be talking about Drake May as higher than 20. I don't know exactly where he'll get to, especially given not the best weapons on the team, but I think he can definitely improve and be uh, the franchise guy for this Patriots offense. Running back, I think Travion Henderson is going to be very good. Again, I have them ranked lower because it's unproven talent, but I think there's definitely potential there. Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson, I think, is phenomenal depth as well. So while right now I have them as the worst running back group in the division, I would not be surprised if they are able to exceed that later in the season. It is a pretty strong division for running back, but I do definitely have a ton of optimism about the Patriots group. Wide receiver is probably where I'm the least confident in this offense. I have it ranked at 30, which might seem a little harsh, but Stephon Diggs, I am not convinced is going to really be that good for the Patriots. Coming off of a big injury, he's older too, and I just don't know if I would have a ton of optimism about him this upcoming season. I think you would hope to get more out of your younger guys. Kyle Williams, rookie you just drafted this year, hope he can do well. I think he has a chance to break out and be the number one option over Diggs. I think that might be easier than a lot of people expect. I don't, as I said, don't know how great Diggs is going to be. Um, Aside from him, Demario Douglas has been okay for them, but you'd probably like to see more. Hopefully, he can contribute more. And then you have guys like Keishon Butte and Kendrick Bourne, who really just haven't established themselves on this team. And you hope for something, but it's kind of just feels like they were wasted picks at this point. Matt Collins is solid depth, but not a top end wide receiver by any means. So I think overall, just not the best wide receiver room, and I think that is going to hold Drake May back in his development just because he doesn't have a ton of weapons to throw to. Tight end, I think Hunter Henry is a solid tight end. I have it ranked as 21. He could honestly be higher than that. Just a reliable option. Austin Hooper is solid as depth as well. The offensive line, I think, is going to be solid. I think Will Campbell's going to be amazing at left tackle. Aside from that, Cole Strange is solid. Garrett Bradbury at center. Mike Nwenu and Morgan Moses. I think overall it's a pretty decent offensive line. I don't think it's going to be a major concern. I don't think it's going to hold the team back in any way. I don't know how elevating it's going to be. But if Will Campbell can, immediately just be one of the top tackles in the league, then the offensive line can definitely be a lot higher than this. Defensively, I think their defense is pretty solid. The front seven I have ranked pretty low, but I think that can definitely get higher. I do love their defensive interior, specifically Christian Barmore and Milton Williams are great interior defensive linemen. Right now, I think they're kind of lacking at edge. Keon White, I think, can continue to develop, and if he is able to continue his development, be one of the better edge rushers in the league, and that can really help with that. Harold Landry on the other side, I don't think is all that great. And then the linebacker core with Christian Ellis, Robert Spillane. I don't think it's the best duo in the world, but I guess you can do worse. The secondary, on the other hand, I think is one of the better groups in the league. Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis is a very, very good boundary corner duo. Marcus Jones in the slot as well is nice. And then Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers at safety is a good safety duo. They are reportedly trying to trade Kyle Duggar. I don't particularly understand why. This seems like, secondary is one of the strengths of the team, and it's a team that they hope to be ascending and, working toward becoming competitive. So I don't understand why you're selling off an asset, but that's just me. Overall, I think the defense is going to be pretty solid, and I think the offense, if they can get at least one of these receivers to break out and Drake May continues to develop, I think there definitely is potential for this team. Just right now, I think there's a lot of unknowns still.
I think with quarterback, he's young. Drake May's young. He had a very solid year. Obviously, what you said, he's overshadowed by his other quarterbacks with Caleb Williams as well as Jaden Daniels having a Hall of Fame rookie quarterback season over there in Washington. I feel like as he progresses with especially his coaching room, I feel like he can get better. He could definitely by the end of the season we could be talking about him as being more of a dominant quarterback, definitely higher than 20 at that point. But as of right now, we don't know much about him because we only saw bits and pieces of him. Running back, I would actually have to disagree with you. I think as of right now, I think they're ranked higher than fourth. I'll put them over the Jets running back as well as do I do I say the Dolphins? It's tough because I like them as much as I like the Dolphins running back room. I think they're still a little bit lower than the Dolphins running back room. However, I feel like they can honestly be by the end of it with Trevion Henderson. I'm a huge fan of, as well as Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. I feel like they can be just a great running back depth room, and I feel like they could be number 3 in the division or number 2 in the division, honestly. And I feel like they could be higher than 21, especially by the end. When as I don't know if you projected it, but I'm projecting Trevion Henderson to have more of a significant breakout role by the end of the season, especially over Ramondre Stevenson, who's getting older, but he's still very solid. So I think at the end of the season, we'll be talking about them being much more higher than just 21 or number 4 in the division. Wide receivers, I do have to agree with you. I don't think Stephon Diggs is that guy anymore. He used to be, and we used to love him for it. But as time goes on, he's getting older. He just came back from a huge injury. It's very questionable how much he will be coming back. But I do think they have a couple solid guys with Douglas, and especially I'm high upon Kyle Williams. He is the breakout player in practices, his mini camp, and preseason games. He's just been a good, solid guy, as well as the backups of Mac Hollins, Kendrick Bourne, Kayshawn Booty. I feel like all six of those guys can be very solid people. Very not people, very solid. Well, maybe people as well. Very solid people and wide receivers by the end of the year. And I feel like at this point, number 4, I would honestly put them above the Jets as well for the wide receiver room, especially because I feel like their second and third string wide receivers are much more dominant than the Jets' second and third string wide receivers. Tight end, yeah, he's solid. They have good back of Austin Hooper, but Hunter Henry's solid. You can't ask for much more of a solid guy than him. He's there when he's needed. He's good at blocking. He's great at receiving. I think he might be higher than 21, maybe around 18 or 19, maybe even 17. Just like I would put him right outside, maybe like 15 to 20. Honestly, he's much more of a solid guy. He gets overshadowed a lot, but I think he's much more solid than a lot of people let on. The offensive line, I I mean, you gotta root for Will Campbell, especially from when you would see his highlights and when he would talk about how much he wants to protect Drake May. You just gotta root for the guy. You love him. Your mom loves him. Everyone loves him. Uh, Will Campbell is just that guy everyone wants to root for, as well as I think I feel like the whole O line could be solid, honestly. And from Morgan Moses to Garrett Bradbury, I think everyone on that team could be solid. Uh, front seven, they have some good pieces here and there, like you talked about, Christian Bourne, Milton Williams. Feel like the good defensive lineman, very solid, very good. Keon White, if he keeps getting better and better, I feel like he could be really good for them. Uh, Christian Ellis, he's okay. Same thing with Harold Landry, the third. He's all right. I mean, it's just all right. The linebacker room. Uh, the best, honestly, I would agree with you at this point. The best part of the team is the secondary with Carlton Davis the third, as well as Christian Gonzalez. Uh, Both of those on the boundary, as well as Marcus Jones in what's it called in the slot, and then both their safeties with Kyle Duggar and Jabil Peppers, whatever his name is, Peppers. I feel like all of them are very solid. Hopefully, Kyle Duggar will stay with. Well, as a Dolphins fan, I hope he gets traded to a different division. But as a non-biased fan, as of right now, I think Kyle Duggar should stay with the team. They should keep him. He's very good for them, and I think honestly, their best strength is the cornerback room and the secondaries.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do agree. I'm very high on Travion Henderson, and I would not be shocked if he has a real breakout season. Um, I'm surprised you have them so close to the Dolphins in that regard because I know that you and I as well have the Dolphins running back room in very high regard. Big Devon Achane fans here. But I guess they have dealt with a lot of injury, and yeah, the sky is really the limit for Travion Henderson, and the depth there is phenomenal. Looking
Yeah,
at
well,
oh
sorry if I must
no, go
interrupt,
ahead.
if I can interrupt. Uh, the problem I have with the Dolphins is Jalen White. Honestly, I feel like he's just he just hasn't. We traded for him for a high draft pick, and he just hasn't produced like he should have. And I know it's early on because it's only his second season, but there hasn't been much flashes. Even when Devon Achane was injured last season, he didn't have like nowhere near the production that uh, Devon Achane had. And then as well as I feel like Gibson, Ramondre Stevenson, and Trevion Henderson, I feel like all three of those are solid backs as compared to Miami's two backs with Ollie Gordon and Devon Achane. I feel like they can definitely Uh, all three of them are better than all three of Miami's just because of Jalen Wright. Honestly, he's the biggest question mark I have on that running back room.
Yeah, that's really fair. We haven't really seen a whole lot out of Jalen Wright at this point yet, and with the draft capital investment, you definitely would have liked to see more. And yeah, I agree. I think the depth you can definitely be more confident in what New England has there. Looking at my projections for this upcoming season, I'll say it in every video. I don't know why I did it this way. Estimated win total is range of wins. It's not a projected record. I don't think the Bills are going 10-14, not just because that's not possible. That is, I think they're going to win between 10 and 14 games. It's a floor and a ceiling. But anyway, we're going to get into it. Bills, I do think they're going to be a double digit win team. I definitely think they're going to be the best team in this division. And I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs. Yeah, I think they're probably going to be toward the higher end of that range, probably around 13 wins, I would guess. I'm definitely very high on the Bills. Um, I think that if you can get, a Keon Coleman breakout, especially, or a Dalton Kincaid breakout, it's just going to let that offense hit another level. And with a solid defense as well, I think the Bills are definitely going to be very, very good. And then the Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots, as I said, I had them all ranked very similarly. I did give the Patriots a slight edge with the highest floor, but I all think they have around a 9-win ceiling, which is not great. I don't think any of them are going to be playoff teams, but then I have the Dolphins finishing around third and the Jets probably as the weakest link.
I would say I would agree. Buffalo, they're definitely a double uh, win team. I feel like they could get around 13, 14 games and that they could win. Definitely a playoff team. Number one ranked. Uh, I feel like the next would be the Patriots over Miami Dolphins. I think there's definitely some levels to this. I feel like the Patriots might have, like you said, a slight edge over the Dolphins. And I think that slight edge might earn them is a very low, and I'm going to say it right now, very low playoff spot. Just like 6 or 7. I don't think any of them could like make or break a huge playoff run, but I feel like there might be a slight chance they might inch into the playoffs, show us what they're made out of, and then get eliminated. I think the Dolphins could maybe push the Patriots. I don't see them winning, getting into the playoffs this season. It's more of just they're not a steady team as of right now. They don't know if they're going to keep their head coach, their GM, their quarterback who has an out if they want to trade Tua next season. They have an out to do so without losing a lot of cap space. So I think this is more of a test year for the Dolphins. And because of that, I don't see them winning many games. And if they don't win many games, from what I've heard, if they start the season like 2-6, 1-5, there's a good chance that they'll fire both their quarterback, or not quarterback, they'll fire both their head coach and GM, start over, and like essentially nuke the whole roster. And then for the Jets, I don't think they're going to be good this year. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think they might honestly get less than 5 wins. I don't see them going far at all. It's just it's just I don't have hope for them. I mean, the couple years in the past, they just been awful. I love the new head coach. But the problem is with him is that he's more defensive minded, and I feel like the weakest parts are the offense, and because of that, I feel like there's gonna be some lost connection between that, and I honestly just don't see them being a good team. I think they're gonna be a bottom 5 team at the end of the year. With I think I put them projected to win about just a low 4 to 6 games, honestly.
Okay, wow. I do agree. Yeah, probably are going to be around a bottom five team. Um, so yeah, that would not shock me at all if they're near the lower end of that. I'd probably put them around, 5 or 6 on the lower end of that spectrum. You mentioned the Dolphins like kind of cleaning house if they have a slow start. If the Dolphins were to start at like 1-5, 2-5, 2-6, would you be in favor of firing everybody at that point?
Honestly, with the production in the last few years, yeah, I would be in favor of just starting over, destroying the roster, trading the assets from Tyreek Hill. To I wouldn't trade Tua just yet. I would keep Tua until the end of the year, but I'd trade people like Tyreek Hill, uh, big up name players like that. I just Jalen Phillips. I love Jalen Phillips, but I don't see how we're gonna pay him by next year, especially if he has a great breakout year. We don't have Dolphins don't have money to pay him, so I think he might be a trade target for the Miami Dolphins, honestly, as well as Bradley Chubb. I feel like if everything uh, becomes nuclear in the beginning, then they just will blow up the whole thing and start over, and I would be in favor of it.
Hmm. Yeah. So hopefully the Dolphins have a good start because yeah, if things go bad, it's probably not going to be a great outlook for the next few years.
No, trust me, it won't be.
But yeah, I think that's all we have to say about the AFC East. If you have any closing comments, go for it. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching the video. And yeah, if you have any last minute comments, go for it.
I hope. I feel like this year it's going to be very close between the Dolphins and Patriots for the second and third division rank. Bills, I think they're just going to run away with it. Jets, honestly, I don't think they're going to make anything of it. Uh, Thank you for having me. It was great to be here. I'm glad I got the chance to talk about this division. Currently love half of them. I love the Dolphins and maybe the Bills. Depends on how Josh Allen plays. Uh, so yeah, thank you for having me, and go Finns.
Of course, of course. Thank you for coming on. All right, we'll see you in the next video.